Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we're going to be watching the next part of the Text Talks Battletech series for the Amaris Civil War. This is Bagpipes? I don't know what's coming up next, but so many people are going, hey, we know what's next, it's bagpipe time! And I'm just sitting here going, bagpipes? I know I'm missing something. I know it involves bagpipes. But just bagpipes. There's something going on, and I have literally no idea what. So we're going to go jump in and find out, because bagpipes. I'm stuck on this thought right now. It's weird, and I literally can't get around it, and it's just going to be in my head. It's going to be in my head. I'm going to go to bed tonight and go, bagpipes. And I'll have watched the video by that point. I'll get it, and it'll still be there. Otherwise, you guys know the deal. Link below, original video. Hit it up. It's Tex. You guys know he's awesome. It's the Black Pants Legion. Just hit them up. They're awesome. And when you're done, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let's get started.
And that's how you get ahead in the Hemisphere. But a coup isn't just the removal of the head of state, or, in this case,
and he's just sitting on the bloody throne.
Head. No, the trick is to follow through. And Amaris was most certainly thorough. Over time, he'd managed to gain access to the palace's defense systems, as Richard Cameron had shown their operation in great detail to his bestest best friend many a time.
Okay, I just want to say right now, I love that someone decided to do, honestly, very good art for the very moment Amaris sits in the throne. You know this is fresh because the blood is still there. He still has the jewel-encrusted gun in his hand, and there's just this satisfied frown / grin of... I'm not used to smiling, honestly, and it feels awkward. And I just... Damn. This is also probably the most impressive picture of him I've ever seen. Everything else kind of makes him look somewhat comical or downright batshit hideous. This one is a man who just basically won. And he kind of did. Hot damn. Also, interesting that the throne has a keypad. Weird that it's facing away, but sure, I guess if you can type without looking at a keyboard, you can do that. I can't do that.
However, Stefan had himself a fucking problem.
What?
The goddamn Black Watch.
Everyone keeps saying this. What is that? Part 3. Nemo, me, Impulse,
Lacitus. About the Black Watch.
Why does everyone keep talking about them?
The Royal Black Watch, or 191st Royal Battle Mech Division, could trace its lineage back to ancient Scotland of terror.
They're Scottish, and he's playing bagpipes in the background. Oh. This is why everyone's talking about bagpipes, because he's literally playing bagpipes for the Scots.
In 1725 as a volunteer militia for the purposes of keeping watch for crime. By the 28th century, they have significantly evolved.
Is that an AK-47? Okay, yeah, it is.
The Black Watch was no joke. They were not a parade unit. They were not a propaganda piece to scare people into leaving the royal family alone. And they did not idly bask in their...
Oh, okay, so I thought this was him with a robot arm for a second, and I'm a little disappointed it's not. Also, legs should not bend that far back. That is very awkward.
Royal regiment status. They were the chosen protectors of House Cameron, and thus the first family of Starlee. The Black Watch was not a bauble or a plaything. They were a ruthlessly loyal fighting force dedicated to their duty.
On the one hand, their previous boss is dead, so they, by default, failed. On the other hand, their previous boss was a fucking idiot. He probably literally went to every single one and said, you, leave. And when the protest stuff, we are literally here to save your life, and this guy is going to murder you, are you a dumbass? The following answer was, yes, leave. Is that how it went down? In my head, yes it is. I'm going to believe it.
They were a hardened group of warfighting experts.
It's kind of cool how he's mixing in the old actual images.
Could muster, along with the best training of any regiment in the inner sphere.
They're actually accurate.
In addition, each and every one of them were graduates of the Gunslinger program, which in Battletech is the equivalent of saying they're all pretty goddamn amazing at their job and have spent their entire military career in Special Forces level training just for instances like this.
This is something about this art that is old school. It's kind of ridiculous with the fires in the background, everything's going down. And this guy's just like, yep. Tuesdays, kind of boring. How about you, Tom? Oh, Tom just lost his leg. Well, guess it's up to Frank then. Frank had the sandwiches. Well, we're gonna have to deal with that. Seriously, the sheer nonplussed here is actually kind of impressive considering there's an explosion right there and you see his gun and all around him and just, yeah, all good. Yeah, just really impressed by the art. Which is weird because normally this blasé, unrelenting aspect is annoying to me, but Tex is really hyping up just how badass they are. And you know what? Maybe for him, it is a Tuesday. Although, literally, he just said that they are training for days like this just in case. So, no, it would be the one day, but I'm overthinking this. But either way, it's interesting art.
They had a single duty, which they took very seriously.
They failed.
That duty was to protect the royal family.
Yeah.
The royal family, which Stefan had just decided to harm.
Yeah.
When one of Stefan's idiot goons managed to trip an alarm in the throne room and get vaporized in the process, the Black Watch was alerted, activated, and immediately went into battle.
Really? The reason it falls apart isn't Amaris making a mistake. It's some mook tripped a instant incineration switch. I mean, it's not unbelievable. You basically are always held accountable to the weakest link in any operation, so it's not a bad idea. But I'm just sitting here going like, really? Out of all of this, they were still watching. Yeah, it's not that he, the Mook triggered it. It's not that they found out or they went in to watch right after it mattered. It's that they still had access to the alarms in the first place. Did Amaris just not know about them? Like, were they super secret also on top of being super well trained? Because that's literally the only thing I can think of right here. That said, I'm probably being a little too harsh because, their entire stated mission was to keep House Cameron alive, and their boss literally just got killed by a guy who walked up to him, showed him a gun, and then killed him with it. Yeah, I guess I'm pushing my anger off on them because their boss was that incompetent. But dear God.
That's not to say the Rimworld's Republic military hadn't planned to fight them. Amaris
okay, no, they knew.
Thorough.
They knew.
Amaris had ensured his best were armed and equipped for the task at hand.
He has a fucked up face.
Amaris's elite forces had expended an enormous amount of time and effort to train for the purposes of taking Unity City, securing Amaris's person, and eliminating any remnant of the SLDF forces on the planet before the day was out. For months and months, they had brought equipment and personnel to the region and trained for this day.
If someone wasn't watching,
they knew in full the operation and workings of the SLDF, their garrison strengths and battle plans. The coup required total suppression of all SLDF garrisons on Terra for this to work, and America.
Oh. So Amaris said he was ready to face them. But by them, and by everything Texas said after that, he's talking about the SLDF. What it sounds like, though, is the Black Watch were very much the personal army of Cameron's house, as opposed to the SLDF, which was everybody's army. So they're literally walking into a trap of their own making because they're looking for an enemy who isn't the one that's going to be the punch you in the face type. Unless they're technically in the SLDF, but it really doesn't sound like it considering everything that's been said so far. Yeah, I can see why this would be a thing. They're looking the completely wrong way. They're hyper-specialized to an enemy they're not actually going to fight. Or at least not the main force of the enemy that they're going to fight. It's not the enemy they thought. I'm sure there's still some SLDF around, but still, at this point, loyalty. Whew.
Amaris had reinforced his own forces to ensure total victory.
Weird-looking helicopter jets.
Amaris's forces had in fact drawn up extensive plans to kill every last member of the Black Watch and trained exhaustively for a very long time to accomplish this singular mission with high...
Okay, never mind. They knew exactly about the Black Watch and they trained to do it. I'm kind of confused on
efficiency.
This one.
Unfortunately for them, though, the Black Watch was the stuff of legend. Immediately after the alarm was tripped, Amaris's goons almost lost their initiative as the first wave of Royal Defense troops jump-packed onto the roof of the palace and tried to breach to slay all opposition.
Cool.
While Amaris had the foresight to cause an HPG blackout, cutting communications off-world, the palace's alarm systems were sterner stuff. As first responders, the Black Watch Marine Infantry proceeded to assault the throne room. Their job was to secure the royal family, eliminate any threats, and get them away from danger, while the rest of the Black Watch powered up their equipment at nearby Fort Cameron. Cutting through the roof and throwing satchel charges, the Black Watch Marine Infantry assault teams almost killed Amaris right then, who did his best to hide and scream for reinforcements.
Yeah, usually the good choice.
The 4th Amaris Dragoons commander had a problem. He needed to get his main forces to the palace in Unity City, where Amaris' bodyguard was desperately fighting against the Black Watch Marine Infantry. The main issue was that between his position
and
Amaris's was the Black Watch garrison, which was now on full alert.
Ooh.
All Amaris would have to do is get his 4th Dragoons into the city in force, and his coup would be secure. All the Black Watch would have to do is fight like mad bastards until the SLDF reinforcements arrived. And in this outcome, the entire inner sphere held in the balance. Amaris had prepared his men extensively for this very moment. They had the initiative, training, and numbers. They had all the data required to make this happen. All they had to do was to defeat a depleted garrison just now waking up.
See, this is weird. I was assuming there's just some kind of mistake Amaris did that led to his ultimate downfall, but with how Tex is building up to it... Also, is that a guy on a jump pack and you just see the wash down there? There's like a little line. Oh yeah, it actually looks like there's a guy on a jump pack landing. It also could just be a pole, but I'm going to go with jump pack because it's more fun that way. Also, mechs are just small here. But more importantly, it sounds like he's basically trying to say every single thing that could have gone wrong to the Black Watch did. And I'm assuming the next line is, and it didn't fucking matter. Because I thought it'd be something Amaris did wrong. Maybe they were looking at the wrong enemy. Maybe they're looking the wrong way. Maybe they're prepared for the wrong situation. But no, he knew, he was aware. When you say kill every single, trooper or commander or everyone in it, that's implying a personal level of knowledge of each individual. So you should probably be able to take them out. Did someone botch their job? Because people are not bullet resistant outside of mechs. And inside of mechs, you just need more extra mech shooting to get through that. What the hell happened to allow them to even survive to do this?
This would, however, be easier said than done. The coup was not isolated to the palace alone.
Makes sense.
Amaris' men had set off explosives and fires throughout Unity City to wreak mass confusion among first responders. Amaris' troops had even the foresight to effect, as I said, a communications blackout before deploying a series of precision nuclear strikes on the Black Watch base as soon.
Oh, so this is what everyone means when they talk about nukes. Okay, that makes sense. I was kind of wondering what he meant when he said, the HPG is basically taking out the faster-than-light communication, so they're cutting off the planet. And I'm assuming a lot of the internal communications, because sure, if you have it, you might as well use it. Do I know for certain? No, but I'm just making the assumption, because if you got it, you got it. And it's like the tech capital is basically Earth at this point, unless I'm mistaken. And this is the part that I think is really interesting. You got nukes, you got the locations, you got them, and you got a bunch of different fires, therefore. And honestly, he's probably meaning that both physical and metaphorical. They're probably actually setting fires and also, causing a fire by just getting everyone's attention to someplace else that's not where they need them, which is actually kind of a thing. It's the old misdirection. A lot of different, hell, you could say anything does this. You have one big flashy thing, and then there's the other thing over here that you don't want them to pay attention to, but it's really important. So you make the big flashy thing really big and flashy. This is not even just a military thing. That's it's basic magician technique right there. Don't look at what the left hand is doing, because the right hand has a big shiny squirty thing that's big and funny and flashy. I don't know magic. There's a reason I can't do it, but the basic principle is just ignore what's important and see what's flashy. And they're doing that. Also nukes, which technically would be flashy. So it's not even a bad plan. The more I hear, the more I'm like, how did they make it through? Normally in science fiction or fantasy or any kind of writing, and I keep coming back to this point, I'm just going to assume they're awesome, because the writers aren't really giving it a lot of thought, and we're just going to have to take that suspension of disbelief. And you know what? Sure, if it's good enough, I'll take it. It's fine. goddamn Battletech lore is so freaking tight, and they pull from history. They go off real events, but not the crazy one-of events that you're never going to believe. But things are like, yes, this happened in multiple time periods in multiple places. So there's a set pattern of how it looks like when it goes down. So they're very much patterned on things that have happened. They've happened multiple times. So they're very intrinsically believable to an honestly disturbing extent. How the hell did they survive?
And as the alert went up, with the nuclear strike wiping out most of Fort Cameron, remaining SLDF forces in the capital were down to just the Black Watch commander Hani Schmidt and her 8 Mechwarriors, who had just escaped destruction moments earlier by being on standby alert when things started to go to shit. Colonel Henny Schmidt was hard as nails, and she knew her forces were the only thing in the way to stop Amaris's 4th Dragoons from entering the city in full.
I'm going to re-listen to what Tech said because I just got so distracted by. They really have a mech giving a thumbs up. They really just decided to have a random image of an SLDF mech giving you the happy thumbs up. Join the SLDF. We're not going to get horribly massacred. And honestly, it sounds like they don't. It's just mostly horribly massacred. And then it sounds like we're going to be seeing the other guys get horribly massacred in return. Massacres for everyone. I just got very distracted by the thumbs up. I've never seen them do this in Battletech. It's always been hyper violent or arresting or damage porn, but never just, we have the ability to be cunning and also really happy. Join us. We could do thumbs up with giant war machines of death. Sure, why not? Oh, probably
when things started to go to shit, Colonel Henny Schmidt was hard as nails. And she knew her forces were the only thing in the way to stop Amaris's 4th Dragoons from entering the city in full force. She decided to stop them for as long as humanly possible. She knew every second she held would be potentially to save the day.
So she's basically fighting the entire
every second
invasion
she held
force.
might grant the Black Watch Marine Infantry time to kill Amaris, who they now had pinned down in the throne room. Every minute might give a chance to reverse the communications blackout and get an alert broadcast to the inner sphere at large.
Killing him just
Every
because
minute might give the royal family time to escape.
Amaris Civil War wouldn't end this fast.
So Hani Schmidt took her Mechwarriors into hell to buy time. And amazingly, for a time, she stopped the 4th Amaris Dragoons dead.
Oh.
No matter what Amaris's lead forces, with all of their preparation, training, advantage in numbers, and equipment threw at the Black Watch, they kept coming. They'd nuked their base, and still, some of them had survived. They then threw wave after wave of mechs, tanks,
mechs, probably hardened.
Aerospace assets,
at this point, if you haven't hardened to radiation,
bore down on the Black Watch, and onward the Black Watch marched, crushing and burning and destroying everything the Dragoons could muster. Dutifully, they fought, repelling every attempt of Amaris's forces to break through.
Oh, yeah, he said for a time. This isn't going to be a victory. This is going to be a Pyrrhic victory, isn't it? It's a victory, but also the one that you really lose more than you win. Granted, that was the guarantee from the start, considering Cameron's dead. Although, is that really a bad thing? Throwing it out there.
They knew they had to buy time. They knew no fear but a job undone. Outnumbered and fighting like mad bastards, 2 lances of the Black Watch held up the entire 4th Amaris Dragoons. And so began the final stand of the legendary Black Watch.
I'm sorry. Did he just say only 2 lances? Okay. I was assuming like most of the guys were wiped out, but they had a good bit of mechs. And I mean, wow, that's just 10 mechs, right? 5 mechs to a lance, right? That's it. Against the equivalent of an entire, yes. I'm not even sure how big an individual, like I'm assuming division is going at them, but this is literally the equivalent of, it's literally the equivalent of the hot gates in the battle. For anyone wondering, the movie 300, that's actually historically the Battle of the Hot Gates. It was a fight to hold off the Persian army. No, it's still the Persian army. I think it's the Persian army at that time. Turkish. I honestly forgot that part. Well, whatever. To hold off the army from what later became Turkey, much later. And I think Troy, whatever. Xerxes' army. Oh, I remember him. Well, they were invading Greece. And they had him at a canyon where they had a bunch of natural hot springs, which also, just funny little thing, it was kind of a resort location. Yeah. So it was kind of the equivalent of the Battle of Disney World. You're welcome. Just random fact that's absolutely useless now, but still kind of a thing. But still, they're basically hot gating this and running through and pulling off a 300 situation. Huh. And now I see where they drew this inspiration. Oh, God. And this is old enough that it's probably before any of the big Lord Main 300
forested hills on the other. The Black Watch made their final stand, forcing the vastly superior numbers of the 4th Amaris Dragoons to engage them at essentially point-blank range. Desperately, the 4th Amaris Dragoons sent everything they had at them and watched in absolute horror as the Black Watch blew them away like damn.
Point-blank range. Oh, God. Is this... Sorry. I hear so much how the clan fighters are always long-range, heavy, giant mechs that blow you up from, yes, distance, where a lot of the inner sphere is more, I'm going to be right up in your face and punch you. And now they're talking about being point-blank range. I'm actually wondering if hero worship of the Black Watch right here is literally setting up the inner sphere doctrine later on of punch it in the face, get in knife fighting distance, and actually use a knife if you have it. I have no idea, but if this is actually the reason, because these guys are such badasses, that's the reason. Oh, that actually would be really fun. Just a moment of badassery, kind of defining doctrine for the entire inner sphere.
Dandelions. Wave after wave, some of the best Amaris had died to the Black Watch effortlessly, who cut them down with mechanical precision.
Damn!
The Black Watch held the line, hoping to tie
How
up the
would they
Amaris
have handled it if
Dragoons
they
long
weren't
enough
surprised?
for loyal forces to regain control of Unity City or at least kill Amaris. The 2nd Battalion of Amaris' 4th Dragoons were pushed into action and were nearly annihilated
That guy's face
in an
is a little
instant.
off. It's freaky.
2 of the very best companies the Rimworld's Republic ever had were cut to pieces before they could respond or cry out.
Oh.
No matter what
Wait.
the Dragoons threw at them, the Black Watch...
Oh, so they're slaughtering them companies at a time. How many lances are in a single company? I don't know, because I barely just learned what a lance is. I'm terrible at that stuff because I haven't got around to playing the game yet, because I don't know anyone around here who does it. And the one guy I do know, I have to make a significant trip to do that in Pittsburgh, and it'll be fun, but I just got to get around to it. But still, I just casually slaughtering companies. That seems like a lot.
refused to die. Every single attack was repulsed.
Now that's
often
definitely
with
the
no
skill use guts
survivors
right
save
there.
the Black Watch waiting somewhere out there in the dark. Amaris was by this time panicking. This wasn't going down like it should have. No one was supposed to be
he was
this
expecting
hard to
easy
kill.
win, like everything else.
Time was ticking down, and sooner or later SLDF reinforcements would arrive, potentially ending the coup. He saw all of his hard work, all of his family's hard work, his legacy slipping through his fingers. He urged his troops to do anything
this the
to
moment
stop
where
the
he
Black
snaps?
Watch. Desperate and running out of time, the 4th Amaris Dragoons lost so much goddamn equipment to the Black Watch that they had one desperate option left. The 4th Amaris Dragoons and their rushed reinforcements resorted to surrounding the Black Watch with sheer numbers, pinning them down with all the firepower they could muster, and continually throwing inordinate amounts of manpower at them to prevent them from moving.
And this is the actual last stand of the Black Watch, and that must be their symbol, which I couldn't really tell closer up, but I kind of think that looks like what tech showed when they first started talking about it. I don't actually know what mech this is. Like, there's a lot of mechs that are from this time period that just kind of move on and they're iconic now, but this one I don't recognize. It's actually not bad, though. It has a lot more fingers than I'm used to. Usually they go with a 3. This one looks like it has, yeah, a full 5 and a thumb. 4 and a thumb. Wow, I can count. Interesting. Yeah, if anyone knows what mech this is, I haven't got far enough to know it, but they're all 3 using it. I'm not saying I want to get a couple copies to say, here's my Black Watch. I'm going to just win by default. But it might be kind of fun. I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but I might.
And then, dropping a series of nuclear bombs on the whole lot.
They
Decimating their
re-nuked
own
them?
forces in nuclear hellfire just to try to kill them. Just to end the threat of the Black Watch. The last surviving footage of the battle shows the Black Watch commander and 4 remaining Black Watch Mechwarriors gunning down a Rimworld's archer as the double flash hit. Amaris's own 4th Dragoons barely survived in time to save him from the Black Watch Marines trying to cut their way into the audience chamber.
Oh,
and
are
gun
these the
him
actual
like a
Marines or
pig.
the Black Watch?
As most historians will say, the Black Watch was technically destroyed that day.
Technically.
Except for a handful of the regiment that still escaped all of that and survived. Yes, the Black Watch is that hard to kill. Nukes are merely inconvenient. These crazy lads and lasses did not sulk for their dead comrades. They had work to do. They did not disappear as one might after a coup. No, they had a duty. From the irradiated rubble of Fort Cameron, deep from the bunkers beneath it, 5 members of the Black Watch survived. Under Captain Elizabeth Hazen.
Okay. Full on here. Hot damn? I mean, when Tech said they held out for a time, I was like, oh, this is going to be a last stand. And then it was a last stand. And they had to resort to multiple nukes to take them down. And that's the thing. By the time the nukes went off, there was only 4 of them left. They resorted to at least 2 nuclear devices for 4 mechs. That is bullshit, and I love it. I mean, when you reach that level, you'd go around them because that is, unless those things are much faster and longer range than I realized, because they could be. It's the age of like best technology and all Battletech, so it could be. God damn, they survived multiple nukes, and then they just came out and had to get nuked again to stop them. I mean, sure, there's probably attrition warfare, and there's probably, they lost, they lost 6 out of the 4, and then they decided to resort to nukes to take out the last few. And they mentioned that they were surrounding them, and depending on how big those nukes are, there are nukes that are actually kind of small, like still pretty damn bad, but not like city destroying, more like partial destroying. I just want to know how the hell did they, 1, think I had to bring more nukes, 2, how were they able to hold off the city? Like, is there more information on that final battle? What were they doing? Because, again, I know I said this before in this video. Anywhere else, I would just say, it sounds cool, leave it at that. Here, though, they probably have some kind of idea of, okay, here's how we got it, here's a choke point. What was the battle plan? I want to know. For example, I brought up the Hawk Gates earlier. It was a literal entrance through the cliff where they had a very limited amount of places that people could enter through. And this was the easiest one, short of literally going all the way around, which would take forever. And they eventually did. And that led to a different battle, but they had free warning at that time. But here, I want to know more. So if anyone knows more where I can get just specific information on this battle, I want to know more. Please, please, please tell me. Thank you.
They would escape the battlefield to form the Ghosts of the Black Watch as a guerrilla movement in order to carry the fight on for generations if need be. They only have 5 people, though. Vengeance upon Amaris. They vowed vengeance upon his people, his armies, his administrators, and his cause. The Black Watch would haunt Amaris until he died. And, well, some would suggest those who died in the nuclear attack were buying time for something far greater. Trading their lives for the purpose of distraction. Rumors and later controversial evidence would indicate some of them escaped with an unknown number of House Cameron, disappearing far beyond the reach of Amaris. But
okay. Yeah. I remember this one. This is the incident where it's like, oh yeah, Comstar fuckery. And they mentioned Cameron at the time, and I had no idea who that was. But now it makes sense, and they were holding off, and Tex already confirmed in the previous video right before this, that at least I'm not sure it was the right order, that yes, they had a Cameron or Camerons who were not the dumbass. Because, and I'm going to be completely controversial here, just throw out a hot take, with a certain High Lord of Terra. Oh yeah, it does sound like about 40 when I say it that way. When a certain camera with an overinflated ego was deheaded, the bloodline of Camerons improved dramatically. I think, yes, that means he retroactively improved his children, if it was his children, by not being there. I'm going to give Amaris credit for that one. I still hate him less than the freaking idiot in charge. Granted, everyone else seems pretty damn awesome. And if I'm remembering right, which I very well couldn't because I had no idea what I was hearing, so I didn't really pay attention because I didn't know what it was. They had the Camerons on this ship, and that was in a record, but no indication of what happened to them, just that the ship was there, and I don't think they mentioned anything about bodies. Granted, it was blown up before anyone could really take it, so did they escape?
But I've covered that elsewhere.
Yeah. 2 empires
all across the inner sphere. Similar betrayals were playing out.
That's his first name, really?
With RimWorld's Republic forces suddenly decisively turning on the depleted, undermanned, and under-equipped SLDF garrisons.
Yeah.
For many months, these garrisons had been emptied to reinforce Kerensky in the periphery.
So they're not even really attacking.
For many months, RimWorld's Republic forces had replaced their numbers, worming their way into defense systems and preparing for the day of betrayal.
I mean, being completely honest here, if they're this into it, they could probably have got away without destroying the equipment, and they just claimed it. With how Tex is putting it out, you don't really need to destroy everything. This is probably more of a morale victory to say you're hitting the industry rather than just taking their shit.
Amaris
Which
had
still has value in its own right.
Enormous cost to him and his RimWorld's Republic amassed an army of over 450 regiments to hold the hegemony.
Oh, damn.
This army had, for the past year, slowly wormed its way into the hegemony and prepared with extensive training for just this very moment.
Also, in this art, like the destruction, the little bit of shock visible on this guy, that's really damn cool. Again, it's one of those I like when you get to see the human scale composed as just the main focus as opposed to this. Like just the sheer overwhelming dick lasers into the ground. I know why they work. I know the lore. I've seen it on battle sheets. I'm just looking at this going, if it was any higher up, it'd be nipple lasers. If any lower down, cock-a-doodle-doo, motherfucker. Still, just the surprise is really well captured here. A lot of the art for this time period looks just amazing.
A coup designed to be a sledgehammer blow against the heart of Starleague.
And that's why they're destroying it.
Often enough, the world's forces would use nuclear or biological weapons in a sneak attack to ensure that the regular
they don't really talk about bioweapons much.
Didn't have any chance of retaliating or warning other garrisons. Suddenly, Starleague forces found themselves overwhelmed by an enemy that had worked alongside them long enough to know their weaknesses inside and out.
Yeah.
Massive nuclear bombardment was the reward for anyone who resisted. If anyone was capable of resisting with sufficient force, Stefan Amaris began using the threat of killing the First Lord, who none save Amaris knew was already dead. Faced with their lord...
So this is after he escaped. This is after the Black Watch had mostly done their job and just survived long enough to get the Camerons out. The remaining not insanely stupid ones that are better off dead, which is a very low bar, but they managed to get over it somehow. Okay. At least that's the time period. And I'm sorry. I know I say this a lot, but dear God, the balls on that guy. He's like, I'll kill the First Lord. Meanwhile... Sorry, got a little brain matter, little ash from it on my... Oh, wait, I put that there. I'm sitting in his blood. Yeah, it's fucked up. That's probably what he did. They even had the art of him sitting in it. So he did do that at some point, and I'm assuming that little hee-hee is actually how he sounds. Until I'm proven otherwise, that's what I believe.
Lord being possibly alive, some garrisons would lay their arms down out of loyalty.
And get slaughtered?
Or hope that the First Lord would somehow survive.
Have you met this guy?
Others surrendered that day, seeing Starleague as a lost cause and laying their arms down to save their skins. Many more died at their stations till their last, screaming for help that would never arrive.
Yeah.
A bare handful, though.
And that's either a guy being executed for cowardice or betrayed.
Fight and resist for years to come. In a single day, Amaris had achieved his objective. Near total RimWorld's Republic control of many core Terran hegemony systems. Throughout the hegemony, RimWorld's
Interesting
Republic
art with the one guy in there.
operations struck with perfect synchronization, occupying SDS platforms and planetary defense installations. Throughout the heart of Starleague, SLDF forces were surprised and murdered at their posts. In a single day,
Oh, and these are probably technical support being killed by Amaris' troops. Also, interesting gun design. It has a lot of elements of, well, very noticeable guns, but then there's like this over bulky, almost biological aspect to it, which I don't think they use biological guns anywhere here. Hell, they only just mention, or text only just mention biological weapons being used. Huh. Interesting gun design. Wonder if that's an actual thing or just artistic license.
Majority of the hegemony was occupied by the Rimworld's Republic and Stefan Amaris. The orchestrated communications blackout had enabled the Rimworld's Republic to strike with near total surprise, and many months of preparation made transition of power nearly clean. Soon enough, the entire hegemony and core SLDF holdings would be under Amaris' thumb.
But
one man now controlled two vast empires, and potentially the whole of the inner sphere as an usurper. He controlled, in theory, the banks, the FTL Communications First Circuit, the vast Star League bureaucracy, and the assets of two tremendous empires.
Yes, everything he just said sounds good, but I think I could be wrong about this, but there's two things that are not going to go his way here. He says, I control everything, which would normally be the case, except he literally made everyone hate Cameron, who controlled those things because he was there. There is no way in hell any of the other main lords and ladies and general dumbasses aren't looking at this and going, probably shouldn't trust this guy right now, and consolidating everything internally, which honestly is probably what happened, and then set up kind of what happened next with the inner sphere and the various houses and how they're basically their own little fiefdoms. Well, they're not really fiefdoms because they're flat out empires on their own right. Still though, this is a mistake. He doesn't actually control them. He controls what they've left. I assume at this point, because of how dumb Cameron is, they don't trust him and they have got what they needed out there so they can survive without any of that. Also, they were given the technology because a lot of people have told me the reason they went into Star League literally like 6 generations ago, I think this part is, right? Yeah, about 6 generations from when we're at here in the lore. They did it because they could get the tech, which was huge. And they did. So there's no way in hell they're going to throw this away as they do later on in the Succession Wars. But that hasn't happened yet, so they should still have it.
However, there was one last piece of business
Kerensky?
To attend. The rest of the family Cameron.
Oh.
You see, the Camerons were Star League. The Star League logo is their house seal, after all. For generations, they'd ruled it
that's
one,
cool.
and
Didn't
for
actually know
better
that.
or worse, held it together. Amaris realized they were a threat and decided to sort them out in the traditional manner of an usurper. First, he gave them the chance of joining him, which some took after considering the alternatives. Regardless of what was promised or threatened, in the end, Amaris was fucking crazy. Once the killing started, he just continued on killing until they were all gone. With the last of their bodies on the cold throne room floor, he sealed it, turning the seat of humanity's power into House Cameron's final tomb.
Oh, he sealed it.
Throughout all hegemony territory, vast
kind of
efforts
freaky.
were soon underway to wipe out any relic of Cameron rule or Star League. This was to be a new empire after all, and the old ways had to be ground to dirt. Through this transition, the great houses of the inner sphere took a neutral tack. They were smart enough to realize that eventually all governments topple, and on occasion new blood comes at the expense of old blood. As well, the great houses of the inner sphere were eager to see how this all played out. After all, in their eyes, House Cameron had this coming. The House
Yep. And that is literally not surprising. Also, I thought that he was going to start waging war on them at this point. Huh, apparently he didn't. Makes sense. I mean, everyone I've talked to, and literally everyone has been bagpipes, followed by this is what drives him crazy. I don't know. So I assume he was going to be a dumbass move and saying, okay, I just won. Let's take them all. Which would be dumb because the Black Watch just did a number on him and morale probably isn't too bad, but he also just lost the people who would have made the best absolute hammer to throw anywhere else.
militaries individually didn't have the power to conquer Amaris, nor did they have the want to do so.
Yep.
Amaris had not conquered their holdings, after all.
They just took out the asshole.
There was an unsolved issue. The Star League Defense Force was the single most expensive military-industrial investment in centuries, and while their assets in the hegemony were now captured or gone, the remainder of the SLDF were still fighting in the periphery at this time.
Oh.
It was soon clear that until the matter of the SLDF's ultimate loyalty was handled, Amaris only really ruled as an usurper. Until the SLDF was aligned to the rule of Stefan Amaris or disbanded, the permanency of the coup was still hanging in the air.
Huh. That's actually really interesting. Not so much that he would try and get rid of them. That makes perfect sense. That he exploited them, he turned on them, he butchered them. The fact that Tex is even giving him credit to say, yeah, we'll figure out your loyalty. Maybe it'll work for me. I did not even think that was an option. I think they'd be stupid to take it because, as he said when it came to the Camerons who surrendered, dumb. He gonna kill you. But just the fact that he would even consider that is literally, it's a ballsy move. That's a stupid move, but it's a ballsy move considering he literally just stabbed them in the back multiple times. And this time they are finally aware of it. Also, seriously, Kerensky surrendering? Working with Mars after all this shit? No, there's no way. He's way too stubborn. Even I see that.
The SLDF was waiting for news, having in the meantime conquered New Vandenberg and more or less gained an upper hand in the periphery.
Oh, so they finally started winning.
Kerensky sent news to the now deceased Richard Cameron, and he received no reply. This wasn't immediately a cause for panic.
Because he probably did it before.
Kerensky knew Richard and he were on shaky ground at best. Kerensky knew the kid didn't favor him, regardless of why. And so, Kerensky waited. In January, news began to circulate about an HPG glitch in the hegemony, the first circuit of SL Comnat being seemingly crippled.
Oh.
While communications had been rerouted through secondary channels, the HPG traffic to the hegemony had not been restored.
And that sounds more like intention.
People began to notice in panic that no traffic from Terra was forthcoming. The hegemony central bank defaulted by failing to authorize routine SLDF wage and upkeep payments. It is known that in the event of HPG malfunction, the Star League government would revert to courier-handled communications traffic. However, every Star League courier sent into the hegemony failed to ever report in again.
Wonder why?
General Kerensky smelled a rat.
Really? Live now. I run this bitch now. Don't worry, I promise you, Cameron is fine. He is playing in the next room with his toy soldiers or something. That blood has always been there. You may clap now. I do not know why I read this as Hulk Hogan. Also, really, Golden Corral? Not dictatorship sponsored by Golden Corral. God, Tex really hates this place. The funny part about all this is the blood, the I run this bitch, the definitely not a dictatorship jokes. All of that, yeah, it's pretty on top. Someone saying Cameron is playing with his toy soldiers in the next room. Hate to say it, but someone probably believed that, and I wouldn't fault them for it. I have a very low opinion of that man.
He began to send his own scout ships to bring back news. Any news.
Why doesn't he just steal it from the people contacting him?
Break the silence.
Yeah, they probably could figure it out.
Himself emperor.
They probably did actually steal
January 2767, in an open address to the Inner Sphere.
Oh, he actually did this.
He had usurped and replaced Richard Cameron.
He actually did this?
Ultimate fate unknown. It would take until February the 4th.
I thought this was a joke. Like the entire thing about I run this bitch now was the joke. No, like sure the words are a joke, but he actually did this. Oh my. It makes sense. The other houses are definitely aware of what's going on. Like Tex said, they're going neutral here because they hate Cameron at this point. The fact that he would just then go on TV and be blasé is like, yeah, this is mine. And even the joke about Toy Soldier saying he's fine. it's how you consolidate power, but at the same time, the balls on this guy.
For it to reach New Vandenberg in Kerensky's ears. As self-proclaimed First Lord, Stefan Amaris' first official order was to try to get a hold on the SLDF and either gain their loyalty or keep them busy until he could neutralize them as a threat.
Yeah.
After declaring Star League to be renamed the Amaris Empire, Amaris ordered as Emperor for General Kerensky to maintain pressure on the Taurian Concordat breakaway region.
Which he set up. He literally... and people have been reminding me, Palpatine and Amaris are from a time frame in the 80s where Amaris might have actually been coined first with Battletech before Palpatine. Oh, dear God. So the entire I am now ruling this, and not just the Terran hegemony, or hegemon, or the Emperor. Was he actually the Emperor or just the hegemon? It's basically the same thing. And now he's going, I am the Emperor. Neil. Do it. I'm going to be making a lot of Palpatine jokes now. Gene jokes. Wow, I cannot speak today. They're even putting on the screen so you see this is the person watching it. Nice little effect there, actually. But God. He literally just butchered the remains and then tried to get a hold of them. Honestly, it probably were... there probably would have been a way to do it without taking out the remains, but then be more powerful in case they didn't want to. But at the same time, you could have at least paid lip service to the old one before going full on evil. But at the same time, you've won in all the ways he's aware of right now. I'm sure he's going to fail somehow because it's not called the Amaris hegemony or the Amaris Empire. So I'm going to assume he died horribly. But... He definitely feels like someone who every step up until this was according to plan, all according to cake. And now it's like, well, I didn't actually think I'd get this far. Except he did think he'd get this far. He probably has plans, but this seems way more on the nose than the previous plans. Like, taking out the allies, who weren't really allies, but they thought they were until they weren't anymore, and now they're dead. Okay. Renaming it, and then going full hog, I run this bitch, and giving orders to the people who survived your attempt to kill them. It's so on the nose that I actually believe someone who is literally in the thrall of their own victory is going to do this. It makes sense.
He offered to make General Kerensky a very powerful man.
It technically already is.
Offering to have Kerensky as his sword arm. To bring law and justice and
I see what you've done with your arm. You don't want to do
humanity. That. Kerensky was no fool.
Did he shoot the screen?
For he had long suspected who Amaris was. And he realized what was going on.
It was all bullshit?
And so Kerensky made a choice that would change everything.
Attack?
Kerensky said no. Thus began the Amaris Civil War.
Oh. To be continued. So all of this was just the lead-in. God damn. Steiner Assault Squad will return. Ooh, we get more Steiner Assault Squad. Also, someone did tell me he actually got German people to record the lines. It doesn't sound German, it is German. Ooh, Intersphere Invasion 2. Electric Boogaloo. God, we're still working on the title. The name of the song is Dropship Thunder. The song was from Battletech. Oh, it's an actual song? William Kiki? Oh, that's an actual song. As far as we know, never been recorded, so we handed it over to the Legion's mechanic composer. Oh, shit, this is... Oh! Now go to bed! So that was an original song written down and never recorded. Hot damn. Pizza. Nice.
I don't care what any of you think. Amaris is wearing a fucking bib, and you can't prove me wrong.
He's not wrong. And that was the beginning of the end, or the end of the beginning. I don't know which one it goes, because apparently the Civil War is next, and this was the foreplay before getting into the main event. Hot damn. This... Every step of the way, Amaris' plan just got more ingenious and also more pants-shittingly infuriating because at every step of the way, it's enabled by Cameron being a dumbass kid to a dumbass adult. Kerensky could have stopped it by being more compassionate and playing politics better with Cameron. But that wasn't him. He would have never done that. That's also why they chose him, because he didn't play politics, so he wouldn't have done that to start with. So even though he would have stopped it, he also wouldn't have, because he never would have done that, and that's why it was him there, not someone else who would have. Which is infuriating, because it makes sense why he was the person who couldn't do that. I'm kind of impressed with Amaris. And yeah, he does look like he's wearing a bib. But at the same time, I think when people say he later gets over top, like maniacal villain twirling his mustache, that comes later. It kind of sounds like it's starting here. The entire kill them all after they surrendered. Like, you could probably just capture some, get them to have kids with your kids, and then, do the old-fashioned hegemony thing of, I didn't take over, I just temporarily assumed power from this obviously incompetent child. And if we're being honest, that's probably why the Inner Sphere houses haven't done anything, because obviously incompetent child they hated. Funny how they're like, well, we gotta have some change of blood every now and again. Governments fall. I mean, yes, they do, but also, do you really think he's going to stop at his government? Because, it's not Cameron's anymore. He usurped it, and then he kept it through means of mass murder. Lots of nukes. He makes sense, but you could see the starting point of just the balls, the sheer overwhelming arrogance going in and saying, hey, I'm making a general address saying, I own this now. It's mine. I'm renaming it in literally my name. And then going to Kerensky after literally slaughtering his people every step of the way and saying, join me. I'll make you rich and powerful. All you gotta do is literally come back and I definitely won't kill you, like everyone else who surrendered to me. Now, Kerensky probably would make sense because he was still the choice of the Inner Sphere houses to lead. But I think Amaris is a dumbass at this point because he's won. He's drunk on victory. I can't even say he's wrong because he's drunk on victory. And the Black Watch, who was probably the best way to stop him, technically lost. I say technically because Cameron died. It's kind of hard to do your job if your job started with you already failed. But goddamn, did they hold out? And it's supposed to be hold out long enough to get there, but, it's like maybe there's like some crazy spaceship they got away from and then left the spaceship behind. Really curious what happened there. I didn't follow up on any lore to do with that entire spaceship because, I didn't know what Connor or Cameron was, and I'm regretting this. Seriously, the Tripitz affair. I'm going to need to go back and rewatch that to figure out what the hell I missed, because Tech said a lot of things about that, and I didn't get them, and I need to go back and see that. Yeah, so Cameron's did escape, the Black Watch's mission succeeded, and then they fucked over Amaris for the rest of his life. Sounds good, yeah. Sorry, I'm just... Every step of the way, Amaris' plan worked great, and now that he's succeeded, he's starting to become arrogant, more than he already was, but like visibly, openly arrogant, which means he's going to probably start making mistakes. That said, this is the beginning of the Civil War because, holy shit, this was just the beginning. I know I'm still stuck on this, but I'm wrapping my head around it, and it is frustrating and infuriating and brilliant, and I get the bagpipes thing. Yeah, that was really damn cool. They held off long enough to try and kill Amaris, long enough to try and win, almost succeed in killing him, fought tooth and nail to the point where they had to resort to nukes to kill 4 freaking mechs, and still achieve their ultimate goal, even if the main one failed of, keeping Cameron alive, and kept the rest of the Camerons who hadn't surrendered alive on the Tripitz. Or not the Tripitz, I forgot the ship name. whatever, the ship that got away and later became the Tripit's Fair and was the video we were in. They succeeded, even though it's technically a ghost story. And what happened next? Like, did more Camerons survive who were not horrible assholes? I don't know. I want to find out. So if you haven't already, you guys know the deal. Link below, original video. If anyone has more context, let me know. I'm really curious. Hit the links. Do that. When you're done, don't forget to leave a comment. That's the word. Comment, subscribe. Let me know what I missed, what I don't know, what I'm being an idiot about. There's usually a lot. Because, hot damn, a lot happened, and I really want to see what happens next. I'm looking forward to part 2. So I'll see you guys then. Adios.